Jabber, take it away.
Oh, big news story this week. First big news story, Brett Favre. Brett Favre. Brett Favre gets his 500th career passing touchdown on his first career pass to Sir Randy Moss, which Favre claims he was dreaming about for 8 to 10 years, which was kind of interesting.
Are you talking about the bullshit first pass, the Moss to Favre?
Yes, Moss to Favre. That was just terrible.
It was exciting. It was the only excitement of the first half.
Watching Brett Favre run a route was comedy.
People thought I was crazy when I started Moss as my quarterback this week, but I proved them wrong.
Proved them wrong, Colin, for throwing an illegal forward pass. Let's face it, at the end of the day, it was just plain illegal. It drew a flag. Favre, of course, also throwing for 70,000 yards that night. Also breaking the record for most texts to a Jets, never mind, and also for most fumbles.
Yes, I was going to say most fumbles.
Most career fumbles. Unbelievable. Yeah. That's guy
and that didn't include the
good
text.
and bad record.
What's amazing about that night is it was a capsule of his entire career.
Yeah.
Great moment with the first guy to throw 500 TD passes. Yeah. They lose on a Favre interception. That is a perfect little capsule.
In basic, he Favre the shit out of that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
He Favre the shit out of the whole day.
Yeah,
everything.
He threw his 500th touchdown. He got 70,000 yards. He had to escape some media scrutiny. He cried. Okay, hello. What else did he do?
He wore his Wrangler jeans.
He did everything. Yeah. He wore Wrangler. He could barely contain himself during the press conference. This guy's a piece of work.
He's in pain.
Right, right. And of course.
Jump hug on top of Moss.
We had jump hugged.
Run down to the end zone.
He did the finger in the air. He hasn't done that in a while. He did the finger in the air with the little
everything.
So cute.
Now let's talk about the fantasy implications here.
Fantasy implications.
I happen to think that Randy Moss is now just a top 20 wide receiver. He'll have a big game here or there. I don't know if this is going to work out as well for him as it did in New England.
I actually agree with you, Adam. What I saw on Monday night was an old guy who really can't air it out, you know, and in Favre. And for Moss, he just doesn't have the same blazing speed anymore. He's just not the same receiver.
He does something that drives me crazy, and he does it. Terrell Owens does it. A lot of these guys do it. They'll know it's a run play, and they don't even try. And my thought is, look, if you would just sprint 10 yards upfield, even though it's a run play, the safety is going to occasionally go to cover you and open up the field more for your running back. Moss doesn't want to do it. If the ball's not going his way,
well, I think another big thing, too, Moss doesn't know the playbook. He knows it's a running play. He doesn't know where it's going.
Sure.
You know, he's going to take a couple steps off the line, grab his guy like he did. He doesn't know where the run play is going. I mean, you're watching him on the sidelines. He's literally like learning a play of like, hey, in the next 4, what can I do? Okay, I can go here. All right, great. Put me in.
Yeah. So you're saying he's kind of dumb?
No.
He's kind of stupid?
I'm saying he had 3 days to learn a playbook.
Yeah,
right, of course.
And you know, he still was getting by defenders. He's still getting deep. He's still got the hands. Is he gonna, torch people for 4 touchdowns and like 150 yards? Probably not. But is he going to get you like 80 to 90 yards and a touchdown each week? I think he is.
Yeah, I'm not recommending you drop him, and I do think he's still an every week starter.
Sure.
But you can't expect him to carry your team like he has every once in a while. You know, there's 3 or 4 games a year recently where Randy Moss will single-handedly win it for you. I don't think that's going to happen as much anymore, but I do think he will get better with more time with Favre. I know even Favre said that. He said, I'd like a little more time to practice with him, but I still think this is going to continue to benefit Harvin. I think it continues to benefit Peterson because it opens up the run game a lot more. I think it kind of hurts Visant.
I do too.
I really do because he's now no longer the red zone target.
Except for this, I think Favre was a very risky start this week. Well, I think there's a possibility, and I think he definitely starts. He's Favre, 289 games, but. I think there actually, for the first time, is a possibility that he may come out of the game. And if he comes out of the game, I think that helps
totally
Visant and it helps Percy because Tavares is going to check down to everything underneath.
Randy Moss is not the kind of guy who will run a little 8-yard slant. I mean, they'll do it occasionally, but he's a deep threat. That's his job. His job is to go down.
His job is to get an extra safety in the back to help
I mean,
cover.
if you look at that first Harvin touchdown, that was a slant. It was a slant pass, and then Harvin turned it into a touchdown. I mean, he made some great moves, and he exactly. It was a great play.
Yeah.
Moss doesn't get him like that. Moss literally just out jumps other people for the ball. You throw it up to him, and you know he's going to get it most of the time. What's our next fantasy story here?
Next story is let's talk a little bit about we're going to talk about Cleveland. Seriously. Jerome Harrison.
Cleveland would be so annoyed by that.
They hate me right now. There's hundreds of thousands of them watching me.
No, they're
now.
probably all going, yeah, we know. It's Cleveland. I mean, come on, you live in Cleveland, you might love your team, but at a certain point you got to be like,
show.
oh, God.
I'll wait for the Zucker brothers.
At least we have LeBron.
Stupid fair play. At least we have LeBron. Oh, wait a minute.
Wow.
I'm interested in this next story.
Yeah, so the next story is Mike Bell in, Jerome Harrison out.
Yeah.
Implications. Well, Mike Bell, I think we can all agree, better fit in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Solid running back. The guy can play. He just hasn't had a chance.
Great for the Saints last year.
Right?
Had over 100 yards in his 2 starts.
Great for the Saints, right? Good point, Adam. How does this bode? What does this bode for Jerome Harrison, Mike Bell, Peyton Hillis?
I think this helps Harrison. I think Mangini is an idiot. We talked about this before the show. Harrison saved Mangini's job last year with his play at the end of the year. And then this year, I know Harrison stumbled out of the gate a little bit, but Mangini just threw him on the bench, not a thought, had no loyalty to his boy. And Harrison's a talented guy. And now he's not Adrian Peterson, but he's a talented guy, and I think he'll fit in with Philly's system better. That said, obviously McCoy's the guy there, but should McCoy get hurt, Harrison is a perfect fit to go in and do exactly what McCoy was doing. And the same can be said for Mike Bell with Peyton Hillis. They're both, put their head down, cover up the ball, and power three kind of runners.
Who's the better fantasy option right now, JJ?
Hillis. Oh, you mean out of
I'm
Bell
sorry,
and Harrison?
out of Bell and Harrison. Who's the guy you want to pick up now? You can only get one.
I'm like, Hillis.
A-Rod.
Barry Sanders.
JJ says A-Rod is definitely the better guy to pick up right now.
I think it's Bell.
Yeah.
I think just because Peyton Hillis has been fantastic, but he takes a lot of wear and tear.
He's dinged up, yeah.
And I don't know whether Harrison's going to get as many carries right away. There's an injury. Harrison can definitely step in. But I think Bell's going to go in and split the carries like they were planning to do with Harrison and Hillis in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And so I think he's a much better pickup fantasy-wise right now. Although Harrison could be a sleeper.
And it's also a much easier scheme to learn in Cleveland.
say this, by the way, as I have Mike Bell's stats up, and I think about picking him up.
The Philly system is a lot more complicated for running back to learn because there's a lot of pass.
Yeah.
And you got to learn those routes. You got to learn your blitz pickup.
Whereas Cleveland's
pound,
head down,
a lot of
up
pounding,
the middle,
yeah.
pound
so
it, find
Bell
your
can
hole,
come right in
and go.
And not even miss a
Which is why I
thing,
think Bell is also better because they're using Hillis for everything in Cleveland, for making so many plays right now that he's going to get worn and torn a lot quicker, I think.
Yeah.
Especially this weekend, which we were talking about this earlier. Hillis risky start this weekend against the Steelers.
Sure. Anybody's a risky start against the Steelers.
With Colt McCoy starting for them,
Pittsburgh's going to run a brand new defense. It's going to have 27 guys in the box. I mean, it's literally they're going to be like, we know you can't throw it, so we're just boom.
Steelers are just they're so good.
Yeah.
They've emerged, I think, as a team that you think about sitting people against.
Yeah.
And of course, if you have their D, you're starting them this
week. Their D is so good.
Yeah.
I just hope that they don't hurt Hillis. It's been my go-to.
I didn't realize
Claire's very concerned for your health.
Hillis was a short, fast white guy.
Yeah.
Next news story. Well, there's one thing that's not rotten in the state of San Francisco, and that would be Michael I've got Crabtree. Crabtree, great game last week, over 100 yards.
Michael Crabtree.
Crabtree, seriously, because they're all crabby up there. Even this picture of Singletary and Alex Smith, which you can't see right now. Is Michael Crabtree, has he finally arrived? Is this the year? Claire?
I think, he came in looking a lot better mid-year last year than he has this year. Mm-hmm. I think everything is really iffy there right now. And I think my theory is that it has a lot more to do with Singletary than it does with Alex Smith.
You mean the new Mike Tice?
And so I think they're suffering from a lack of cohesion, off the field. They're in practice. So I think Crabtree, they just haven't gelled. They haven't connected. But I don't know. He played well.
So you're thinking by
last
week 19 or 20?
Well, that was like an absolute not answer at all. There was a lot of time involved not answering
You don't
that
like him as a
question.
start.
I got an answer.
I don't like him as a start.
I have an
Adam,
answer.
can we do this in 5 seconds apiece?
Yes, we can. He's not a start because his quarterback's Alex Smith, and he's a joke, and they need to get rid of him. And
He's
he is
not
the
a
cancer
joke.
that is killing that team, and
not
he's
a joke.
done. He needs to go
He's
away.
not a start because San Francisco is still an impotent offense.
Well, but it's largely an impotent offense because when he gets you 3 touchdowns, he'll also throw 3 interceptions.
Can we use a word besides impotent?
No.
No.
I don't think. I just.
My
think
vocabulary
Crabtree
is impotent.
Is not quite ready for you to start yet.
Right.
He's
Great.
Not reliable.
Got it. Good.
Certain
love
matchups
it.
I might, but yeah.
Yeah.
Not in every
Definitely
week,
don't get
guy.
rid of him, but Michael Crabtree, not a big start yet. Okay. Last thing.
I've got a couple of things
Great.
to add.
Adam, let's shoot it over to you.
There's a couple of news stories where there's a lot of questions about whether or not Vic will be back. He didn't practice today, but he's not a guy that needs to practice before playing, although they'd like to see it. I know they want him to play. At this point, he's probably about a 50-50 shot to start. Follow us on Twitter, and I'll let you know before the games. Obviously, if he starts, you start him. The guy's been unconscious. McCoy practiced today, LaShawn McCoy, so he looks like he's going to be good to go. Harrison won't be the guy there this weekend. McFadden, it's looking more and more like he might play, but even if he does, I'm going to recommend you sit him because Bush is healthier, and he ran great last week.
Great.
So I don't think they're going to risk McFadden. Even if he plays 10 carries, you don't want to start that. And then, we got a couple questions with these quarterbacks. I mean, Rodgers, Favre, we might be in a bad situation again this week. Again, we don't know. We have no idea whether they're going to start or not. It actually is questionable. Not just questionable as in, they're going to play questionable. These guys,
Yeah, these guys are actual,
it's rare for Favre.
Yeah, I mean, I really think Favre is going to start, but I think the question is, does he play the whole game if that elbow bothers him?
Yeah, and again, we're not saying this in case you're starting Favre. This more affects the
It
people
more
he plays
affects,
with.
the
If
players.
if it's Tavarius Jackson,
Then-
it's a huge downgrade.
Then Schenkel's great.
And Moss is maybe even, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you start him, but you can't expect much out of him with Tavarius. One last thing, little breaking news happened as we were starting the show. Saints signed Julius Jones.
Right.
Congratulations on picking
What was the
up
wording you
another
saw on that?
collection from
Yeah.
Trashy RBs.
I got stud. It came through on Bleacher Report as stud RB. Saints signed stud RB. Julius
Yeah,
Jones.
not a stud.
I could expect, I would like a nice title of journeyman running back.
Yeah.
Remember that
even-
guy who everybody always talks about but never quite
He's not
performs?
even a journeyman, really. I mean, he's been with a couple of teams.
However-
journeyman to me is like you've been with like 7 or 8 teams.
I think that
That's what a journeyman
the Saints
is to
are
me.
trying to desperately, fill holes with Band-Aids right now, gushing hole, and it's a bummer.
Yeah, and Chris Ivory apparently is having some legal trouble. And
It's
Oh,
just
yeah?
a bummer. They're
fight he got into when he was playing in Washington, and now he's going to get brought up on assault charges.
Oh God.
And so that's interesting. I think Jones will get carries, but he'll do with him what he always does. He gets about a yard, and then he puts his head down and falls on the ground. That's how Julius Jones runs the
they're
ball.
an injury.
It's like how Bernie Kosar used to throw.
Jabber, take it away.
Oh, big news story this week. First big news story, Brett Favre. Brett Favre. Brett Favre gets his 500th.
He farved the shit out of that game.
Yeah, exactly.
He farted the shit out of the whole day.
Yeah.
He farted the shit out of the whole day.
Everything.
He threw his 500th touchdown. He got 70,000 yards. He had to escape some media scrutiny. He cried. Okay, hello. What else did he do?
He
broke the record for fumbles.
wore his Wrangler jeans.
He did everything.
Yeah.
He
Very
wore
far.
Wrangler, career passing touchdown on his first career pass to Sir Randy Moss, which Favre claims he was dreaming about for 8 to 10 years, which was kind of
Are you
interesting.
talking about the bullshit first pass, the Moss to Favre?
Yes, Moss
Oh,
to
yeah.
Favre. That was just terrible.
It was exciting. It was the only excitement of the first half.
Watching Brett
weird.
Favre run a route was comedy. I mean, it
People
was
thought I was
horrible.
crazy when I started Moss as my quarterback this week, but I proved them wrong.
I'm wrong, Colin, for throwing an illegal forward pass. Let's face it, at the end of the day, it was
awesome.
just plain illegal. It drew a flag. Favre, of course, also throwing for 70,000 yards that night. Also breaking the record for most texts to a Jets. Never mind. And also for the most fumbles.
Yes, I was going to say most fumbles.
Most career fumbles. Unbelievable. That's guy
and that didn't include the
good
picks.
and bad record.
What's amazing about that night is it was a capsule of his entire career.
Yeah.
Great moment with the first guy to throw 500 TD passes.
Yeah.
They lose on a Favre interception. That is a perfect little capsule
did everything.
of
And basic.